Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. This is FPL Insight. I'm Gianni, the FPL guy, and I'm joined by Transfer Insider, Mr. Dean Jones. Dean, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm just tweeting to the millions out there to get them to come over to the show, saying, come over and join us because it's time to pick your FPL team. And it actually is, isn't it? It actually is time to pick your team now. There's no more messing around and tinkering like I did over the weekend.
Yeah, come and join the chat, people. It's good to see Stephen, FPL River, Stein. We've got Tiffany with us. We've got Steve with us. Hello, everyone. This is going to be a fun-packed hour. We spent quite a lot of time preparing for today's show, and we have got things like transfer rumours, of course. We've got some juicy names in there. Some players that look really good in other kits I just saw when we were flicking through the screens. And we're going to be going through some of the biggest questions that face FPL managers this week. And there are some big ones. Kane or Haaland? Best Arsenal players ranked. Who is the third Liverpool asset of choice? So many big questions, so we're getting to that later. And then, of course, guys, we're going to be answering your questions more importantly as well. So get your questions in the chat. If we don't get to them straight away, we try and get to them later in the show. We have a dedicated 15-minute Q&A at the end of the show. And, of course, give us a thumbs up in the chat if you can. Hit that like button. And obviously, if you're new around here, subscribe. Thank you if you've just recently joined. Like, we hit 2,000 subscribers the other day, Dean. That's pretty cool. We're a brand new channel.
That is pretty cool. I mean, yeah, we are new to this world. I mean, you're not new in terms of yourself, but like this is a show that's hard to break in, right? It's hard to break in and try and establish yourself and get people watching a new show. And everyone watching this show will watch other shows already, I'm sure. But thanks to everyone for coming and joining us. I mean, I do think we offer something a little bit different. I hope we give people the edge a little bit. I hope you also help give me an edge this season, if I'm honest. So, yeah, it's good. Let's get into this, mate, because, yeah, big week for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, big news of the day. Well, there's been a few big news stories today, but FPL River mentions one there, Dean, in the chat. Cucurella to Chelsea is gaining momentum. Like, I think City have said their limit is 40 mil, and the 30 mil bid was turned down. We expected that. Chelsea are maybe suggesting they'd pay more in the market of 50s being talked about. He's going to be a great FPL option if he goes to Chelsea or City. Do you think it's almost set he's going to leave Brighton now to one of them?
Yeah, I mean, look, he's trying to force his way out. He's told him he wants to go. It's strange that he would end up not going to Man City at this point because City made him their top pick. He had his head, set on getting to Man City. So for Chelsea to come in late, I mean, Chelsea keep going in late on players, don't they? They keep trying to shake up the market, and they're missing out. So I'm not going to count on Chelsea getting this one over the line either. From an FPL point of view, it's really interesting. I mean, personally, from an FPL point of view, I'd much rather he went to Man City. Yeah. But from Chelsea, I guess it does give you the question, like, is this competition for Chilwell? It doesn't really make much sense. It's like you don't really want to be competing Chilwell and Cucurella for the same spot. Yeah. And then there are, good reporters like Matt Law saying that, well, Chelsea have been on the lookout for a left-sided defender that could also play on the three. I mean, it feels to me a bit like a waste for Cucurella to be just wedged into Chelsea's back line right now.
He's so good going forward, isn't he?
It just seems wasteful. Yeah, it's like I don't want to see it. It's like when we were talking about Reece James being wedged into the right side of that defence. Don't want to see it. We want to see them attacking like they're supposed to. But FPL River also says if Chelsea want him, he'll probably sign for Barcelona. And it's probably true. Yeah, they're currently going for Alonso, Barcelona, but they'll be like, oh, hang on, why don't we just get this bloke that they want to sign? We'll just spend 50 million instead of 6. Why not? Weird also, isn't it, that Man City wouldn't go above 40 when it's only going to take them getting to 50.
Which they've spent so much on defenders. Like, they buy loads of defenders.
They've got Haaland cheap. Calvin Phillips wasn't that much.
Yep.
Like, I'm surprised that if he's that important to them, they won't go to that. I initially thought, to be honest, that the Chelsea link was just something to try and get City to cough up. Maybe it still is, but it does seem a bit more serious than that.
Interesting. FPL River mentions that he could end up going to Barcelona. That would be hilarious. Interestingly enough, he's actually from a village just outside of Barcelona. Just looking that up now, and he came through the Barcelona academy, and that makes you think with his Catalonian links, then Pep Guardiola surely is in the driving seat if it's not Barca. But there we go. Eddie's got a good question about Grealish. This was a guy that was in my team before the Community Shield, actually.
Was it? Yeah.
I actually am not sold on it, Eddie. I think Martinelli at 6 million is a better shout than Grealish at 7. And I think at 8 million, if you can move up, there's a huge amount there's a wealth of options at 8 million. But for me, Martinelli at 6, he's becoming like an absolute banker in my team now.
You
He's
like that,
absolutely locked. I do. And I told you at the last time we streamed in, I was like, do you really want to go double Arsenal attack? We were talking about Saka and Jesus, and it is a lot of your budget. But Martinelli and Jesus is what I'm on. And it's not a huge amount of your budget. It's the same value as a Salah. And they're both in-form players.
I've just gone the other way, though, because I was on Martinelli, and then I saw Arsenal smash Sevilla at the weekend, and I'm like, hang on, Saka's on pens. What?
Yeah, I've got something to add on that, though. So the last 4 penalties have all gone... The guy that's taken the pen has been the guy that's won the pen. Okay. So Martinelli on the final day of the season did take a penalty, but he won it. Before that, Saka won 2, took 2, and the other day won. So the last 4 penalties have all gone to the guy that won the penalty.
Okay.
Now, if that's Ben White, I don't know what happens.
That is interesting. But yeah, it really made me think I need to get to Saka. And to be honest, like Saka will win a lot of penalties himself. So if he's going to take the penalties that he wins, then he probably will end up taking more penalties than anyone else this season. Yeah. It is really difficult. I have got Grealish in my team at the moment, and I don't think he will survive the week. I don't think he will at the moment.
Yeah, it wasn't great seeing that Community Shield performance, and Foden came on and did so well. Craig in the chat finally managed to get on YouTube for a live stream. Craig, I know you often watch on catch up, so thank you for that. And hopefully this is the sort of show you can watch on catch up, but the live element is what really makes it. So yeah, get involved in the chat, Craig. Hey guys, hope you're good. Thanks for shouting at FPL Journal as well. Yeah, FPL Journal, where is it? I've not got it at hand. Yeah, I have. Hang on. Here you go, Craig. Check out Craig's book. There we go. It sits really nicely next to
yours.
There we go. Good stuff, guys. There's loads of you watching, but not many of you have hit that like button. So if you can, give us the thumbs up. Loads of you are subscribing as well. Thank you for that. But yeah, if you like what you see around here, give us the thumbs up. Rubber Ducky is here as well. Harry is here as well. Good stuff. I look forward to seeing both your drafts. Both Chelsea fans, those two, Dean, in your Fulham shirt.
There we go.
Gianpaolo's back for more. He was with us on Friday. Thank you, guys. Darwin Núñez. Yeah, we'll get to that. Should we talk a little bit Darwin now? No, we'll get to that later. First up, we've got to speak transfers. Later on, I'll tell you all why I'm going for Darwin Núñez. I've just had my hair cut today to try and get that little bit more of a Darwin look. So we'll get to that later. But first up, we've got to talk transfers. So much happening. It's time for Transfernomics.
This first one is actually quite funny because I've got to have a bit of a climb down. I mean, we're talking about Ross Barkley to Everton, and I was speaking to people at the Chelsea end of this. First on Friday, and then I spoke to someone yesterday too, and they were both adamant that Barkley was on his way to Everton and that Chelsea obviously aren't going to stand in his way. And they were like, yeah, it's going to happen. And so I was like, oh, hot, like this is going to happen. About an hour ago, got a message from someone who works in Merseyside, basically, and it was about something else. And I said, oh, by the way, what do you think of Barkley? He's like, no, Everton aren't going to touch it. I was like, oh no, this messes up my Transfernomics.
So my Nando's rating, but my Nando's rating.
Yeah. So weigh it up as you like. I mean, I don't think the problem with Barkley back to Everton, I think, is that fans aren't particularly welcoming of him coming back. I don't think the nature of his departure was particularly great on his part. A lot of people haven't forgotten the way he left. And so it looks like, although it says on the screen right now, a hot rating, that might have just been watered down to a lemon and herb because, Everton apparently are backtracking on this one. The thing is, Frank Lampard is looking at Chelsea right now. I'm told that Everton are going to try and make a late push for like 3 signings, basically. I think they can only do 1 loan. I think that's right. I think Everton can do 1 more loan. But they keep looking at Chelsea and they're talking about Barkley's one that we're talking about, Batshuayi, Billy Gilmore, these sorts of players have been talked about. So let's wait and see. They'll definitely get 1 out of Chelsea. So let's wait and see which one it is. But it makes sense, right? Like Everton and Chelsea, obviously bonded by Frank Lampard. They actually face each other, of course, on the first day of the season. But yeah, interesting one on Ross Barkley, because if he's not going to Everton, he's got to find a club somewhere. I was kind of excited about it because I want to see Ross Barkley playing football again, like regularly, and see if he's still got it. And as an FPL asset at 5, you never know. He might become worth having in your squad. Yeah, Ali says Barkley comeback would be exciting, and it would. Like, shame it doesn't sound like it's going to be at Everton.
He'd be a starter.
I'd take him at Fulham.
Yeah, he'd be a starter at loads of all the newly promoted teams. You'd think would have a look at him.
Yeah, maybe like a FPL,
he'd be a really good asset at 5.0 because where he plays on the football pitch, his set pieces are good. We know he's had goals in the past. Like Forest have gone there with Jesse Lingard. Can Fulham or Bournemouth go there with Barkley? I mean, we saw him go to Aston Villa on loan and he was rubbish. But maybe that's a little bit. Maybe he needs to drop down a level from Villa. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's a tough one for Barkley because he obviously needs to get his career back on track, and he's 28 now, so it's a prime time for him. The next one we're going to look at is Hudson-odoi to Crystal Palace. Look at the look of that. Hudson-odoi in a Crystal Palace shirt. How does that make you feel, mate, as a Chelsea fan? That's a weird one.
This is a kid that's like proper homegrown. Those in the Chelsea Academy 4 or 5 years ago, I think Rob Green said, this is the best kid we've ever seen in the Chelsea Academy. That's how, and they've produced some talent. Like he hasn't quite lived up to that billing, but you can see there's a elite player there. He can slot in at right wing back, and because Chelsea haven't signed the right centre back, James could play there. Hudson-odoi could get more time with right wing back. So I wonder if we'd be reluctant to sell, but he's going to want first team football. Yeah,
apparently he's had quite a good pre-season. He looks a bit stronger, a bit sharper. Got it. Got the will back a bit. The only way, if I'm honest, I see this happening, Chelsea are being linked with Zaha. Now, Palace not really looking to entertain bids for Zaha at all. But if Chelsea did come forward and were like going for Zaha and Zaha was interested in that move, which to be honest, he probably would be, I can see Hudson-odoi getting thrown into a deal like that to like as a make weight. And obviously like Palace did really well with Conor Gallagher last year and used him well. Like I think Palace and Chelsea have a reasonably good relationship anyway now on the back of that. So like maybe there could be something there that they work upon. But like I think Hudson-odoi at Crystal Palace would be a nice fit. But as I say, it would probably take something like Zaha leaving to open it up realistically.
Yeah, that Zaha transfer room every summer, especially at the end of every window. There's so many. I dread to think the amount of clubs he has been linked with over the years. But he scored a worldy goal for Palace in pre-season the other day. And Eze, the creator on that, who's one of my tips at 5.5, like Eze could have a really big season.
Yeah.
FPL River. Yeah, Hudson-odoi has done well pre-season. We should be keeping him. Yeah, another Chelsea fan, FPL
Yeah,
River.
and I think we'll run it onto the next one, really, because Zaha and Sterling both play on the left. But you can switch them around. It's fine. Werner to Newcastle. And I think this is probably the thing too. Like Hudson-odoi might have a chance if some of these other players end up leaving. And Timo Werner, clearly a player that wants to leave. Linked with Newcastle, I've given this one a lemon and herb rating, mainly because I do believe that Newcastle like him and could go for him.
Yeah,
I don't believe that Timo Werner wants to join Newcastle. Like that's the main information I've got. It's like if Timo Werner leaves, it's either got to be for a team that are already in Europe, in England, or he goes back abroad. And I think RB Leipzig are into Timo Werner at the moment too. And I think that if he had the choice out of like Newcastle or RB Leipzig, he'd probably go there. I'd like to see him. Like if I was Man United, I'd be tempted to have a go at Timo Werner right now. I think if you look at Ziyech, if you look at Timo Werner, if I was Erik ten Hag right now, I'd be like, well, we're a bit blunt. If Jadon Sancho's not playing, we're a little bit blunt at times, and there's still life in these players that you can get out again. And so I think there's going to be little deals like that to be had. But yeah, so Werner's Newcastle transfer, I'm not too sure on. SPL River says, go back to Leipzig, surely. Yeah, I think so too. We should probably point out at this moment that it's being reported tonight that Newcastle made a new offer for James Madison, improved on their last offer. Yeah, I was told that they were tempted to do that, but they'd had no encouragement to actually do so because Leicester don't intend to sell him to them. And also that Madison didn't particularly have his heart set on joining Newcastle. I think he was quite excited about the idea of like joining Tottenham. I think Newcastle, he's he's a bit more unsure of. Also, Newcastle will probably have to make James Maddison their highest earner, I think. Same as they probably have to do with someone like Timo Werner. So they're going to have to do this at some point, right? Every player from now on, they're probably going to get to that situation where everyone becomes the highest earner. Kiz says, how good can Newcastle be with Maddison? They've improved in every aspect of the team. It would be a good signing, wouldn't it? Like, there's no doubt about that.
Bruno and Joel Linton and Madison in a midfield three. I wonder if that has everything. I think it probably does. Probably does. But Bruno would have to be a bit more disciplined than where he was at times last year because he was getting into the box a lot. But yeah, could probably work that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Yeah, Newcastle, we've said many times on here, like the team to watch out for in these next few weeks in terms of probably buying an asset that you're going to want in your FPL team because they'll get someone that is realistic, quite cheap basically, but a good option because they'll be playing every week.
Yeah. More questions coming in, and United obviously are still being talked about. Like they still haven't been active in the transfer markets we thought. And yeah, Werner to United could have been an option. Rangnick was a fan obviously of Timo Werner, but that's died down a bit. But Eddie's saying, would they go for Sesko?
Look, they've obviously made inquiries on this path. It's been reported so widely that they must. I just can't see that he's so young.
He's 19.
He's 19. I think he's £55 million.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's the right answer for where Man United are at now in terms of buying a centre forward. Obviously, they must be looking elsewhere at the moment. Antony seemingly being priced out of a deal. Cristiano Ronaldo's future still unclear. So they're obviously looking around at forwards. Ideally, they want two as well, not just one. I just find it very hard to believe that this is what Man United see as the answer right now. Don't get me wrong. If it was just looking for someone to add competition for places and he wasn't 55, if it was half of that, I could probably believe it. I just not sure that they can spend that much on somebody that is that good. And I think
if they wanted a 6.4 forward, they should have signed Skamaka.
Right.
Save 20 mil.
Yeah.
He's proven in a good league. This
proven
guy's
in
played,
a good, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, this is a good one from John. This is one I'm interested in because this affects Reece James. I've had Reece James in my team till yesterday. If Chelsea sign a right wing back, and don't forget, heavily linked with Hakimi last summer, didn't go. He chose PSG instead when he left Inter. Now Chelsea linked with Hakimi's replacement at Inter, Denzel Dumfries, who's had an unbelievable season, can't defend for toffee, but he's so good going forward. He'd play right wing back at Chelsea, which puts Reece at right centre back. So again, not a great FPL option if Reece is locked in at right centre back. So Chelsea are constantly being linked with wing backs on that right side, which makes me think Tuchel doesn't quite want James playing right wing back, which seems crazy to me. Is there truth in this Denzel Dumfries rumour? It's exciting.
There is truth. It's really hard to gauge on how realistic it is that anyone signs him though for Chelsea though, because Todd Bowley seems to just go and speak to anyone at any time that he wants to talk about their player. And the leaks are really quick. So you think he was looking for a centre back and clearly asked Tuchel who he'd want, and he said Kimpembe. So he went and tried and get Kimpembe, even though he was never really gettable, was he? That wasn't going to happen at the time. And it makes me think, well, maybe he said to Tuchel who would be good in this position. He said Dumfries, so he's gone and tried to get him, even though it's going to cost a lot of money and you probably can't get him. But yeah, there is something to it. Yeah, there definitely is. You're right. It does make you wonder why they keep going with players like that. It's interesting. Will Dumfries go to Man United? I don't know. I haven't even checked that one out, to be honest with you. Dalot's had a reasonably good pre-season, but obviously they've got Wan-Bissaka. The only thing I was really told on this one is that Wan-Bissaka needs to go before somebody else significant can come in. So they need something to happen there. And at the moment, there's nowhere for him to go.
That makes sense. And United, of course, under Ten Hag, they want to play back four. And Dumfries, if anyone was built to play in a back five or a midfield four, because there's three behind him, it's Denzel Dumfries. He has to be a wing back, surely.
Yeah, 100%.
Matic's question about this story. I don't think there's much in this, is there, Dean? At the start of the transfer window, Barcelona and Bernardo Silva were heavily linked, but now things seem to have quietened down on that front.
Yeah, I don't think it's happening, no. I mean, City do have a clear plan in place whereby if somebody wants to leave that seriously, then they won't stand in anyone's way. I even think if Kevin De Bruyne said, I don't want to be at this football club anymore, I need to go. And the way Man City deal with things like that is okay, well, we need to figure out a way around this, but okay, let us think about that. Like, just seems to be the way they do business. So obviously we know last year Bernardo wanted to leave, ended up staying, ended up being one of their best players of the season. I'm not sure it's still the case that he's going to go, if I'm totally honest. No. I think he'll also enjoy teeing up Haaland.
Oh yeah,
I think he'll stay.
And in the Community Shield, I think he got 90. You know, Gundogan's stayed as well. They
Yeah,
can't
Gundogan
afford
was
to
talked
lose
about leaving.
another big name, can they? Like, they've obviously lost. They've brought in a couple, but they've also lost Zinchenko. They've lost Sterling. They've lost Jesus. So don't want too many going. Got to retain that title. Good stuff, guys. Thank you for getting so many questions in. Just so you know, we will try and get back. FPL Robin Songs is with us in the chat. I don't know if you've watched before, Rob. So look, good to see you. Good question as well. Let's get to this now before we move on to some more FPL chat. Am I mad for having FOMO on Martinelli and Neto? Okay. Podence and Saka. Oh, you can save so much money on Martinelli and Neto. Dean's team Saka. I'm probably team Martinelli.
Yeah, I've switched literally last week from Martinelli to Saka, and you've gone literally the opposite way.
That 2 million, that's a huge difference for a similar player.
And it has affected me in other areas, and it has caused a bit of a pain. I've basically, I tell you, I've got around it. I've dropped one of my forwards down to Cameron Archer, because I've got a feeling Cameron Archer does actually get game time and actually turns out of 4.5 being a good third forward.
Could be,
so that's the way at the moment I've got around it. But I'll have to see if I stick with that.
Yeah, I'd go Martinelli, Rob. Go Martinelli. And Neto as well could do bits and pieces. I think Neto
everyone seems to have Neto.
I don't, but I can see why. I'm saving 0.5 and having Leon Bailey at 5.0. But yeah, there we go. All right, guys, let's move on. We've had good transfer chat, and we'll try. If you've got any more transfer questions that you really want answering, if they're good ones, we'll get back to them in the final 15 minutes of the show. We're with you till 8 o'clock. This show, as you know, we do every Monday, every Friday at 7 p.m. This week's a little bit different. We're not going to do Friday at 7 p.m. We're going to bump it to earlier in the week, likely to be Wednesday evening. But usually catch us on a Monday, catch us on a Friday. And guys, thank you so much for the support. We hit 2,000 subscribers. This is a new channel. We're here to stay. Subscribe if you're new around here. Robin Songs, I'm looking at you. And give us a thumbs up, please, if you can. 42 have liked, but apparently there's this algorithm and I don't know how it works. But the more likes, the more people that see the channel.
Just like it, and hopefully more people see it. Yeah,
it's a thing. Okay, let's move on to FPL Chips and Tips. Chips and chips.
Whatever you want. Yeah.
Rob says he has watched a fair few times, but never live. Seems like a fewer first time.
Kids
live.
Always in the way.
Kids always in the way. We can relate, can't we?
We can relate. Yeah. Somehow I'm getting. I don't know how I've got around doing this show at 7 o'clock. It does get me out of bed. Doing bedtime now. It's absolutely wonderful. I hope we do it 5 days a week soon. Just to get me out of bedtime.
Time is literally 7 o'clock for guys. Yeah, bang on. I'm with you there. Guys, we're going to do some questions first. So in the bottom strap, we're going to answer 4 or 5 of the top questions that are facing you as FPL managers this week. This is facing both Dean and I, I'm sure. Very few can have both because, of course, we've all got Salah. So Kane or Haaland is so difficult. Sorry, it's Haaland. I keep saying Haaland.
I do too.
And I know it's Haaland because I listen to good football podcasts where they always pronounce the names properly, like Ranks FC, Dean.
Yeah, but they always say Haaland. I'm the one that says Haaland.
I've not noticed that, to be fair.
I did say it, and now, like, slowly, especially as he's got towards joining Man City, I've had to change it because, like, people are going to call me out on it.
Yeah. So where do you stand on this? I mean, I was Kane, but now I'm looking at Perisic and Doherty. So I've already got 2 Spurs attackers, defenders, but I've got 2 Spurs players in my team. Yeah. And I know game week 2, I'm going to be bookmarking a transfer to go Kane to Haaland because I'm going to want Haaland against Bournemouth. I just know I am. So I think I'm going to start the season with Haaland because he still got in the positions at the weekend. The Community Shield, he didn't score, but his XG was like 1.4, 1.5. And I just need to see he's getting in the positions. That's kind of all that matters for an elite striker. I don't need to see the goals. I just need to see the positions, and he's getting in them.
Yeah. The one concern I've got, so I'm thinking, obviously Haaland's new to the team, new to the league. He's a slight risk. West Ham isn't an easy fixture, apart from the fact they've got no defenders at the moment.
Yeah.
Which I have to consider. And you've got Kane, who's one of the most consistent, reliable strikers in the Premier League history.
Yeah.
And that keeps nagging away at me, especially for that first game when Tottenham are at home to Southampton.
Home
and I
as
could
well, aren't they?
just switch the two the week after and get on Haaland the week after. Like, I don't know that what I'm going to miss with Haaland away at West Ham compared to what I might miss with Kane at home to Southampton. That's my main concern right now. I've had Haaland for like a few weeks, as you know, and I'm not, that the miss in the Community Shield doesn't really mean much to me. Like, Haaland's not going to miss those all season. As you say, like, it's just about the positions he gets in. He will eat up goals. The one he scored against Bayern, like, he'll score goals. John says, does Kane score 4 more points than Haaland game week 1?
So that is the question, to be fair.
And
each transfer is 4 points.
I think he will, though.
Yeah, I said I was veering towards Haaland. I'm really 50-50. And
it's hard. Like, everyone I haven't watched that much Tottenham in pre-season, but obviously for my job, I speak to, sometimes I just ring people who have been watching more of it than I have. And they're like, Kane is on it. Kane is absolutely on it. And obviously, like, start of the season, Kane usually isn't in form and, has his August dry patch or whatever. But there's also that part of me where, like, last season, Son was doing all the scoring. Son's probably overperformed for 2 seasons. Kane last season probably underperformed.
Yeah,
is that likely to happen again? Not really. It doesn't really make sense that would happen again. I don't know. It's such a tough one.
Oh, we'll tell you on Wednesday where we sit, because we're going to be showing our teams on Wednesday, and probably one of us will have one, the other.
Sounds like it.
I said because of Doherty and Perisic, I'm thinking I've got Spurs covered, but at the same time, as Dean was talking, I'm like, no, Gianni, sort yourself out. Each player you have to consider in their own right. That's irrelevant. Like, take those two out of the scenario. It's not about covering. You can't cover Kane. Like, it's in his own right who's the better player, and I think I might go just book the transfer in and do it. Let's move on to the next question. We've got 5 big questions. We want to spend a couple of minutes on each. And guys, we want you involved. So let us know one name here. 3rd Liverpool asset: Robbo, Diaz, Darwin. I'll kick us off, Dean. For me, I was Robbo 3 weeks ago. I was Darwin for the last fortnight. No, sorry, Diaz for the last fortnight. And since the Community Shield, I've gone to Darwin, and I'm pretty set. I'm pretty set. I'm pretty locked.
Really?
On Darwin,
surprises me.
Yeah. I just think he's going to hog all the big chances. Like, he got half an hour and he got 3 big chances. Like, pre-season, I know he's missed loads. I know it was a meme, but he's just got a way of getting all the big chances. And last season, I looked, his XG last season was something like 15 and he got 26 goals. Like, he massively overperforms it. He is an elite finisher based on last year.
He is, yeah. I mean, out of those 3, I would go Diaz personally. I think he's more certain to start early on, and I think he's obviously established in the Premier League. Darwin's not ever played in the Premier League. The concern I have with him too, on the back of the emotion that he showed scoring and winning the Community Shield, it's clearly, this means a lot to him. And on one side, you could look at that as a real positive. Sometimes that can work against you in the early weeks when you're trying so hard and you're so desperate to prove that you could do it. I don't think I could put Darwin in from the start. I mean, I've also slated him on my podcast, so I can't.
I've seen that in the comments from Lil. Melon of the week to not get. You can't put him in your team now, not for a while anyway.
Can't. No, I literally said on our podcast, Ranks FC, that I want Darwin Núñez to start against Fulham because he can't hit the target. That was 2 weeks ago now. And we'll see how that goes.
This one's a biggie. Like, 3 Arsenal players, I think, will be in many of our teams. I was on 2 Arsenal players. I might go with 2. I'm definitely going on 2. It could be 3. So let's rank them. This is my ranking. And these aren't the 3 that I'd go for because I don't want 3 attackers. But in their own right, I've gone Jesus number 1, Martinelli number 2, Saka as the 3rd best Arsenal asset. Then I've gone Ramsdale over the defenders because Ramsdale has this knack of doing really well in the bonus point system. If he keeps a clean sheet, he gets bonus because his pass completion's high. He comes out well for crosses. He does make saves. And then Zinchenko, then Gabriel, who's good in the air and plays 2 teams in the first 2 in Leicester and Palace who are really weak at defending set pieces, and Gabriel was really good at set pieces. Yeah. They're my 6 in order. What would you change in those 16? Where would you rank them?
I'd keep Jesus 1. I'd swap Saka and Martinelli. I might move Zinchenko up 1.
Yeah,
Zinchenko was in my team. I've swapped him with Trippier for now, but they're both at 5. Zinchenko playing at left back. Arsenal having such a good run of games at the start of the season. You're just looking at it and you're thinking, well, then their first 4 games, they're playing Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, and Fulham. Like they could get clean sheets and they could certainly score in all those games. And Zinchenko could definitely play a role in those if he's going to be getting forward. So I'm torn. At the moment, I'm on Trippier, but yeah, I think Zinchenko is one that might be blindsiding me a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair enough. By the way, it was Robbo that won the Liverpool question in the last one. And this one, everyone is going Jesus number 1. Guys in the chat, let us know if you don't own Jesus. Like last night, I think his ownership shot or hit the 70% mark. Like he is 69.9% owned. I don't think I can remember ever a player going into game week 1. And I think I'm probably right on this. No one's ever gone in at this high. Even Salah's always 50 to 60 max.
Really?
Like 70s.
Isn't it mad? Like going back to last season, and I was like, wait till next season. That first game week, everyone will have Haaland in their team. Yeah. And it's actually the bloke that left Man City, Gabby Jesus, that couldn't get that number 9 shirt that everyone's now picking. Everyone's picking him after he left Man City and didn't have him when he was there.
Irony.
But yeah, it is irony. But it does make sense because his form has been absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. I'm just looking at the table from last season. I was trying to figure out like the fact that Arsenal have got Crystal Palace on the first day. I can see it being a draw.
Yeah, Palace is strong at Selhurst Park.
This is the thing. And I'm like, Arsenal have had such a good pre-season. Like everyone is expecting them to go into the season and like just blitz it, apart from people that hate Arsenal. They're hoping that they've already peaked. But, Palace, they had 15 draws last season. They had more draws than anyone else. They're pretty good. They're pretty solid. And they might just work on a plan to really frustrate Arsenal. You know what Arsenal's lineup is. You don't know that of most teams right now. Yeah. So I'm obviously keeping Jesus and Saka or Martinelli in there. But part of me is like, oh no, is this going to be like 0-0, 1-1 or something?
Patrick Vieira to spoil the party. Let's go Chelsea. Are we thinking Chelsea or no Chelsea? I guess this question, in a way, could be rephrased, couldn't it? To Reece James or no Reece James, because I don't see many Chelsea drafts without like with another Chelsea player. Like Mount and Mendy are getting a bit of love. Reece James is 40% owned. What do you reckon, guys, in the chat? Are we going Reece or no Reece? FPL River's a Chelsea fan. He's saying just Reece at the moment. The fixtures are okay. The fear of them signing a wing back isn't great for me. And at 6 million, I just wonder if I go 5.0. They've got Spurs game week 2. They'll concede there. I think I'm edging on no Chelsea with a heavy heart.
Yeah. I was actually considering Mount the other day. Like it was the first time I'd done that, and I was just
best player pre-season.
He's been good. He's gonna play. Yeah. Everton could easily score against Everton. That second game, you say Spurs, he actually tends to score. He could even score in games like that. Like Mount is the one that's niggling away at me at the back of my mind. He could be the one that slips away because no matter how bad Chelsea's pre-season has been, they're still going to have a strong 11 out there. They probably will beat Everton. And if they do, there's a strong chance that Mount gets on the score sheet.
Yeah, BKG, I see your point.
Yeah,
I actually think Mount, though, if you've not going Luis Diaz and you've got Darwin like I have, I actually think Mason Mount's the best 8 mid in the game. So, let's move on to our fifth and final question of these big ones. City mids, in or out? Now, City mids. Well, let's forget KDB because that's a very different conversation for a 12 million asset who is reliable. But this is more to go Grealish, Mahrez, or Foden. Like Foden came on and looked super sharp, didn't he? Knowing he didn't go on the tour, I still think he could start game week 1, and I think he might be the standout because I wouldn't be surprised to see Alvarez get some game time on the right. He did well when he came on, but Foden can play anywhere, and we know he's one of Pep's favourites.
Exactly, and that's I've got Grealish in my team at the moment. I thought I'd got him out, but he is actually still in my team, and I do think it's a big season for Grealish, but Foden's better. isn't he?
Yeah.
And it's 1 million. I don't know how I get to that 1 million is the problem at the moment, because I've got a 4.5 mid, a 4.5
Saka down to
forward.
Martinelli.
That Saka down to Martinelli is literally my way to get Foden. And do I want Foden and Martinelli, or do I want Grealish and Saka?
Foden Martinelli for me.
Yeah, maybe, but there probably won't be too much in it. Do you know what? The interesting one that I've actually just stuck in my team recently is Brendan Aronson.
Oh, 3 assists last night.
Brendan Aronson he's fitted into this team unbelievably well. And then there's the highlights package from him from his last pre-season game. Leeds have got a really, really nice start to the season.
Yeah.
Jesse Marsh has had time to put them together. So I know we're not necessarily talking about Leeds right now, but just while we're on the subject of midfielders, nobody I've seen talk about Brendan Aronson in pre-season. And at the moment,
5.5.
5.5 is a bit of a differential for me, yeah.
And Rodrigo's done well for Leeds as well. A couple of them, I like that fixture run as well. And Mellier's still on my radar. I'm either going Meslier or spending 5 on a goalkeeper. Foden in Haley's team. Glad to hear that, Haley. One of our good mates, Dean, Charlie, he's Foden's his boy, isn't he? Did you see the scenes at the Community Shield with his granddad and getting given the shirt?
I did, yeah. People probably don't know that watching this, but I bet loads of people have seen it but don't realise. But yeah. So you'd have all seen like Charlie and his granddad. They've been going to Man City games, and Charlie's been creating viral TikToks for his granddad, and they're unbelievable. If you haven't seen them, look up Charlie Moose, because they are really good. And his Foden went over and gave his granddad his shirt after the Community Shield. Just go and watch all his videos. They'll make you cry, but they are unreal. So yeah, another reason in it to get Foden in your team. Lovely lad.
Yeah. And good to see Man City doing their bit in the community as well. Another good example of community Premier League clubs. Guys, that was awesome going through those quick fire questions. We've got a few other little bits to do before we do questions. We're going to rattle through these in proper quick fire fashion. Dean and I just had a little look and thought, who is going to tickle all these boxes? So let us know in the chat which ones you agree with, which ones you don't. We're going double City. Do you agree with me, Dean? Double City, Haaland, KDB for goals and assists. Like, I think the ceiling's so high on these players and this team.
It is, yeah, it is. I mean, obviously, like, I'm going to have to throw Kane back into the equation, because I do think he scores more than he did last season. I'm sure people will be throwing Salah in there too. But Haaland, this is the whole idea of him coming here, right? The whole point is that Man City have a 9 who just converts everything. They want one goal scorer. They don't want 10. They don't want goals spread across 10 people. They're going to have one guy that gets them all. And that should be Haaland. So if that does pay off, then it's probably going to be that KDB's set up a load of them. So that's going to be the case as well.
You had to go same club with those two. And I went most points. I still went Salah, because obviously he gets the extra point for a goal. He gets the clean sheet point, Salah, as well. So I still think, let's say Salah finishes 1 or 2 goals behind Haaland, he'd probably accumulate more FPL points.
He does, yeah, he does. That's a good point. I've just noticed your biggest flop. I hadn't seen this one properly. Bruno Fernandes. I've heard a few people really questioning Bruno Fernandes under Ten Hag, and whether on the back of last season, obviously wasn't a good one for Bruno. Does he fit in? Does he end up just kind of not fitting in again, and his place gets taken by Eriksen, for example, maybe even Van der Beek? Like, it's not impossible that happens. Like, Ten Hag will be far more ruthless than the last 2 Man United managers have been. I do think that is one to look out for. It's a big start to the season for Bruno Fernandes. Like, obviously, he's a great player, and he was great under Solskjaer, but we haven't seen that for quite a while now.
They went and gave him a massive contract not long ago, which he didn't need. He wasn't going anywhere, and it had a big contract, and they went and gone, now let me secure you for another how many years? That was a ridiculous move.
Very strange. Very strange.
Yeah. Most underrated, I've got Alvarez. This guy could break the game if he becomes a starter for Man City. Here's a 6.5 million forward. 6.5 million forward for Man City. If he becomes a starter, and he might by game week 2 or 3, who knows? Like, without Sterling, without Jesus, Mahrez and Alvarez at the moment are the two on the right-hand side. We know Pep doesn't give Mahrez a huge amount of minutes historically. I wonder if this guy plays his way in. He said he loves his pressing. He's got that kind of South American work rate that we saw in the past with Jesus, and he replaces him well. He's also not in pre-season mode. He's been on a full season in South America, so he's not chilling like a lot of the others. He's up to speed. So Alvarez is someone I've really got my eye on.
Yeah, I saw a few people like, will he score more goals than Haaland this season? I was like, well, if he's going to do that, he's going to have to score about 27 goals. So I doubt it, but underrated for sure. I wasn't sure that he would be getting a look in the early weeks of the season. I thought he
Me
might
neither.
need to take time to get into the setup, but look, he's made an impact straight away in the Community Shield, and as a result of that, I imagine we'll be seeing early game time for him in the season. And if he does well, he'll get a look in. Craig says it's a shame he's a forward. Yeah, it is a bit of a shame.
Yeah, it really is. If it was 6.5 mid,
yeah,
I'd be tempted to put him in.
yeah.
So let's move on. Let's move on to the predictions in terms of teams like promotion or winning the league. So this again was mine, Dean, but let me know which ones you agree with. Top four. I've gone for the same top four as last year, but I think Spurs might get third, and I think Arsenal will be really strong. But I am going to go Chelsea sneak in, and I'm going City to win the league.
I've got a fit. If Man United get Frankie de Jong and a forward, I think Man United can break into the top four based on the fact that Ten Hag is very quickly adapting Man United's style of play. And I'm probably a bit biased here because I've seen more of Man United's games in pre-season than I have of anybody else, and it's just been noticeable. Look, their last game against Atleti at the weekend, well, they were a bit blunt. I'll give you that. Like that Sancho was missing, and it was clear that they can't get through a season like this. So if Man United sign a forward and Frankie de Jong, I think they'll get in the top four. If not, then the four you've got is probably right. Arsenal fans won't like it. Relegated, I mean, you've put my team in there, which is a bit of a problem, but I can't really argue with it at this moment in time. Until we've made all our signings, I cannot argue with that because right now we definitely are a team that's heading for relegation, but we're going to sign a goalkeeper. We're going to sign a couple of defenders. So once we've seen them, I'm hoping we can climb out. Brentford, I'm surprised you've gone with them. They've had quite a good summer.
They have had a good summer. I'm going for second season syndrome and then missing Ericsson. That could have been Southampton or Wolves. Like, I think Southampton, Wolves, Brentford, the three teams I'm a little bit worried about. Forest, I actually think are going to be that. There's always a surprise team that comes up and ends up finishing mid-table. Like there's always one which really surprises you. Like Leeds, first season they came up, I think they finished top half or 10th.
Yeah.
So I think Forest, just because they got the best manager. I think managers at that end of the table are so more important than the personnel. And I think Jesse Lingard could end up having a big season as well.
They've signed 12 players so far.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot. They're going to sign 3 more, I was told. So imagine they're not going to know each other's names.
No,
they actually might not.
At least they've done a bit of their business early, though.
Like, I know. That's the thing. Fulham signed like 2.
And they did that last time they got to the Premier League, Fulham. They signed all their players at the end of the window. And it took you to kind of October till we knew the starting 11. It was like, who's the best team?
Right. Totally.
Overhyped team. I'm going United.
I've just hyped them up at the start.
Yeah, I can't see them getting top 4 because I put Arsenal ahead of them and obviously put Chelsea and Spurs ahead of them. So I think if anyone gets into that, Arsenal have got the better chance. Although,
I just think like for the first time, Man United have got an actual coach who knows what he's doing, and like this guy, I genuinely believe, like from the top, listening to him talk, listening to the people around him talk, talking to people around Man United about how it's changing. He's the kind of Klopp, Tuchel type coach that actually gets more out of people, changes the philosophy around the club. And okay, that might take more than this season, but I do feel finally Man United actually have a guy that can make changes where they haven't had that previously. That's probably why I'm saying that more than anything. Like, there's not that much reason to believe they do break through. Yeah,
they've finally got an elite manager. Like,
basically.
I see that. Okay, cool, guys. This is time to make this all about you. Right? We've got 15 minutes left of the stream, so it's definitely time to talk. Here we go, Dean. I think you're gonna kick us off. We're gonna alternate. So you go, I go, you go, I go. FPL Jesus, what you're saying is a 4.5 million backup keeper reasonable?
I mean, there's not really much need for it. I mean, I tend to pick a 4.5 million goalkeeper and then pick his backup because if he's not going to play, then his guy comes in. So that's the route I tend to go down. Go 4.5 and 4. Unless the 4.5s are all in really bad form, in which case I'll upgrade by a bit. But I wouldn't necessarily spend that money there.
Yep. Laura's asking about Foden. I thought he improved the attack. Yeah, like I think I think Foden's going to be a starter, whether it's on the left or right. I'm not too sure. Probably the left. Grealish didn't look great. I think Pep said recently he doesn't need to train. He can train the day before a game and still start. And the fact he didn't go to the US tour, now he's had a bit on the Community Shield, I think he might be good to go.
Yeah, I think you're right. Craig, if United don't go for De Jong, will we go for another midfielder?
Good question.
I mean, probably yes, but like checking this out again over the weekend, Man United are just hanging in there. They're going to wait as long as they can for Frankie de Jong because they do believe he's going to leave Barcelona. And when that happens, they still believe that he'll join Man United. They're not listening to all the noise about Chelsea. They're not believing that he never wants to live in Manchester. They've done their own homework, their own research, and they believe that de Jong will play for them. And just watching United over pre-season, there is, the spot alongside Fred. It's a bit more advanced than it was last season. It fits de Jong perfectly to link up play. And if it's not de Jong, then it's just not good enough, to be honest.
Yep, good stuff. Andy's asking about Ward. And before I answer that, guys, I've just noticed only 59 of you have liked it, but over double that are watching. Come on. Like, maybe you just need a reminder. I get it. I watch YouTube all the time and forget to hit the like. But if you can, give us a thumbs up. Makes a real difference. Has Ward gone straight into our squad? He has mine. He's a 4.0 goalkeeper who could start the season for Leicester. There is another backup at Leicester that did really well in the Championship last year called Everson. He's not in the game yet. I don't know if it's going to be Ward or Everson. Brendan Rodgers' comments, speaking to a local Leicester journo this afternoon, suggested that it should be Ward. He said he's a good keeper, comes out well for crosses, which is something Schmeichel has struggled with. So my 4.0 will probably be Ward. Usually, like Dean, I'd go for the 4.0 of the same team as my 4.5. Melie and Sanchez, for example, both have a 4.0 behind them. But I might go Ward knowing that he could start the season. And if Leicester don't replace Schmeichel, maybe he'll be given a chance. But it's a bit of a punt, that.
Totally. Ali says, Tielemans to Arsenal, is it happening? Well, look, Leicester are the team that everybody's gone to for their shopping suddenly, like Fofana, Schmeichel, Tielemans, Madison. Obviously, the other day I was saying like possibly even Jamie Vardy comes up on the market in the next week or two. So Tielemans, look, he does, as far as I'm told, wants to join Arsenal. The problem is Arsenal have not come forward with an offer for Tielemans. And you look at it right now, they need to do that pretty soon because if Newcastle have now made 2 bids for James Madison, you would imagine that somebody else will also bid for James Madison, maybe a Tottenham, somebody like that. And you can't imagine that going into this first week of the season that Leicester are going to be like, yeah, we'll let Madison go. Oh, yeah, we'll let Tielemans go as well. Like, can't really do that. Like, your squad suddenly like got a huge hole in it. So if Arsenal are going to go for Tielemans, it's got to be soon.
Yeah. Little Chungus, better to have an Arsenal defender or Ramsdale or none. I currently do have Ramsdale in my team. Same price as the Arsenal defenders, right? Gabriel's and Zinchenko's are also 5.0, White a little bit less. Gabriel does have good set-piece threat from headers, and he does play Leicester and Palace, who are the worst 2 teams from set-pieces. So game week 1 and 2, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Gabriel goal, but I don't really ever go for centre-backs. Zinchenko, as good as footballer as he is, as versatile as he is, I saw a stat the other day, I'm going to misquote this, but it's around about 5 big chances created in 2 or 3 seasons. Like, he isn't a Kevin De Bruyne that's going to create big chances. Yeah. So I'm not expecting many assists from him. And there isn't really a goal threat there. So for me, Ramsdale actually is the higher ceiling because when they keep clean sheets, he gets the save points, but he does really well in the BPS, bonus point system. So Ramsdale for me.
Yeah, that is a good point, to be fair. I have to remember that. I guess this one's for me. Would you consider Leno as your goalkeeper once he moves to Fulham? Yeah, I mean, he's 4.5 and he's going to play every single game, and Fulham are going to have about 20 shots against us a game, and he's got to make some saves. So I'll be tempted by it. Yeah, I mean, typically I wouldn't really do that because obviously I'm a Fulham season ticket holder, and it just adds to the pain every time a goal goes in if you know that not only are your real team being done, but you're also your clean sheet points are gone. So I tried to steer away from stuff like that. But if you haven't got an attachment to Fulham, then I think he'll be a good bet. I think he'll make a lot of saves. I think he'll be a massive asset to Fulham. I know that much.
Yeah. FPL Madridista, love that, is going with no Chelsea. Okay, yeah. If you rewind 15 minutes ago, you'll get to our Chelsea chat. It was one of our key questions. I said, I think I'm going to swerve Reece James. Like, for me, it's Reece James or no Reece James, possibly Mason Mount, other two. Could go Mendy, but I never feel like Mendy gets save points. So yeah, I'm going. I think I'll be going without. If I do go Chelsea, it will be for Reece.
Right, just a dad posting stuff. This could be me. Right, Cucurella off to Chelsea. Check for live updates. Yeah, we talked about Cucurella. Chelsea definitely having a look at this. They are having a chaos approach basically to the transfer market. I'm not sure it's one that they could ever repeat, but as a journalist, it's been quite fun because you found out loads of stuff that's going on. As a Chelsea fan, it's probably not so much fun. But look, they've got deals tied up for Sterling and Koulibaly. So if you are a Chelsea fan, like, have faith. The club does still know how to sign very good players, and nicking him off Man City's toes would be a very nice one.
Yeah. Paul's asked about McGinn, who's just been made Villa captain, and in the last friendly Villa played, I wasn't surprised actually. Tyrone Mings wasn't in the 11, and Konza played with Carlos, the new signing. And those starting 11s from last weekend, guys, if you're not sure on your players starting, go and have a look at the starting 11s, because so often that final pre-season game, managers go first full strength in that first half. A few drafts I'm seeing with De Silva in at Brentford, for example, he wasn't starting. I'm not now confident he starts game week 1. If you've got De Silva, question it. McGinn over Bailey. Bailey started. For me, go Bailey all day long because of where he plays on the pitch. You're talking about a front 3 player versus a number 8. And Bailey
scored again, didn't he?
Scored again. And it was a good goal. Good goal again. Like, he's been Villa's standout player.
He actually has been. Yeah, he really has been. It's going to be hard to ignore him. Yeah. Tiffany, hearing rumblings that Sinisterra will be the new Rafinha. Anything to back that up? Keep an eye on him or get him in our drafts. I think he's picked up an injury. I think he did. I'm going to check this as we're talking. But Sinisterra, I've personally not seen a lot of him. But
no, I must admit, I saw the highlights of the Leeds 6-2, and I don't think I saw him.
Yeah, I've heard like really good things about him. That he will be that Rafinha type figure in that team. Sinisterra injury. Yeah, he's out for the start of the season. Not for a long one, but at least the first week, possibly 2. It sounds like.
He won't come cheap. 6.5 as well.
6.5.
5.5 on Harrison. So
yeah, steer clear of him right now. If you want a Leeds player, then get on Aronson. He's looking like the most lively in midfield.
Yeah, save $1 million there. Who's the best 6.0 midfielder? Oh yes, Martinelli absolutely starts. He 100%. Even played 90 in the last friendly. He has to have a horror show performance for Smith Rowe to get a chance. And look, there'll be games where Martinelli comes off at 60 if he's not playing well. That's fine. You've got to be in it to win it. He's head and shoulders above all the other 6.0s.
Yeah, he actually is, isn't he? Do you know Bruno Guimaraes hasn't been talked about at all? And I want to see what role he's playing in Newcastle's team now.
Be a bit deeper, couldn't he?
I think he'll probably. That's my fear. I wouldn't pick him. I haven't seen enough of Newcastle, but it'll be interesting. Isaac, do you prefer Jesus or Nunes?
Jesus both like me.
Yeah. Have you got both? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
An 8 and a 9 million forward, as well as my 11.5 slot. Yeah.
There you go. Gone for it.
For a Martial or Tony. Yeah, I forget. Is Tony 7 or 6.5? Let me have a look, because obviously Martial is going to start game week 1. We're sure of that pretty much. He's 7.0 Tony as well. So for me, you go for the better team. And the
which
team
is Brentford.
With more goals. So yeah, I think I'd go Martial there. I don't mind that punt, Martial, I must admit.
I don't either, and I have contemplated it myself. He's still missing chances. He's still missing. He's done one over the bar quite early on at the weekend when he went 3-1-1, and he was like, it was a pretty good chance. And Martial as Man United's number 9, you can't depend on that. Yeah. There's just no history that we can call upon to show that Martial is a reliable centre forward asset in FPL. Whereas Tony actually was showing last season that he kind of was. I know neither of us ended up picking him for the whole season, but I think he got 13 goals or something. So yeah, I'm not sure Martial will get 13 goals. I might start with Tony if you had to go with one of them.
Yeah, I wonder how that no Eriksen effect will affect him, but we'll see. Punter, Dean's still having doubts on Nunes and thoughts on Haaland. Dean, I think this one's for you.
I am, yeah. I'm not doubting him as a footballer overall, that he's not going to be a good signing for Liverpool. I just want to make that clear. But look, him and Haaland have had very different like starts. Like Haaland started like a house on fire and then missed a sitter in the Community Shield. Nunes has missed sitters for 3 weeks, scored 4 against Leipzig, and then had a not very good game, and then scored in the Community Shield and had a pretty good game. Like Haaland is a better player and the more complete article than Nunes. Nunes is not at the same level yet as Erling Haaland. Like there's not really a question about that. So you just need to bear that in mind. Like Nunes is going to be a great player, no doubt about that. And he's already a very good player, but he's not Erling Haaland.
Yeah. Yeah. And ironically, was more expensive, I think, which is...
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Okay, this is a fair point, Tom. I'm glad that you're set. Like, to have 13 of your 15-man squad set is awesome on a Monday. Wait for the press conferences, but yeah, I like that. Ederson and Pope, Trippier and Zinchenko. Okay, you definitely don't want double Newcastle defence, so let's go for one of them. You go Trippier, in my opinion, like same price as Pope, both 5.0s. Mm-hmm. Trippier over Zinchenko for me. I think Trips, I'm on a 5.0 defender. I'm on Doherty. I might go to Trippier. He is the one that I really think is probably the standout other than the guy I've got. And then you go Ederson. Like if you want safety at Man City, Ederson's ceiling is low. It's probably 6 points, but he'll get a hell of a lot of 6-pointers.
Yeah. Do you think Doherty definitely starts? You're not slightly worried that Emerson might get the nod?
The fact he got over 60 against Roma, I think I'm confident. He has been carrying a knock as well. He didn't feature in the friendly before, which I was really worried about. Like, will he get sold?
Didn't play at all, did he?
Yeah, but I think Conte said about him having injuries. So I just love the fact that I watched that game and the Spurs fullbacks were often more advanced than Kane. It's ridiculous. Conte fullbacks.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Cool. We have got 10 more questions to get through in like 3 minutes. So let's do 10-second answers.
Okay, with no Chelsea or Arsenal defenders, who is a better pick, Ramsdale or Mendy? Ramsdale for me.
Nice. Guys, if ever there was an example to show we answer your questions, this is it. Best 5.0 defender. I'm going to go Doherty. It's high risk, but it will be high reward.
Nice. Eddie says, should I go for Diaz for James and go Mount for Grealish for third City and have one Chelsea? Diaz for James and Mount for Grealish. You can do. Yeah, gamble. Go.
Forum, I've got the simple ones, the short ones. Guys, if your questions are short, they're more likely to be answered.
I've got to compute them, yeah.
Sancho or Saka, if you don't have Martinelli, save the funds and go Martinelli and save the two. If you want to have one of these guys, I'd go Saka.
Yeah, so Son or Kane? Kane. Cheaper, going to score more goals this season.
Yeah, he is looking trim as well. Lin Chungus, he's looking like shredded as too. Last 2 weeks, I've been so sure about having Martial on my team, and now I'm really considering transferring him out. Yeah, it shows how the preseason effect changes our mindset. If they had gone and beaten Atletico Madrid 3-0 and Martial had got an assist and a goal, you wouldn't be worrying Lil Chungus. But you saw enough preseason to go there. So stick to your guns for a couple of game weeks because he is cheap.
Yeah, that's true. Haley says, McNeil at Everton, is he worth taking a chance on? He could be, actually. He actually might be an interesting player. I saw when he was talking about his move, and Lampard was saying, I've been waiting for a guy like this would fit into our team so perfectly. And McNeil specifically said, I've come here to improve my stats. This is the place I believe I'll get all my stats up. So on the back of that, I'd say it's a good pick.
His stats will improve anywhere but Burnley. He doesn't have to actually see it.
Although Burnley now play a completely different brand of football under Vincent Kompany. Could have stayed.
Yeah. We got 2 more questions. One for me from Forum, then we'll come to Dean to finish us off. Richarlison replaces Son or Kane early sub. More likely, it will be Son or Kulu. Kane will be a 90-minute man. Like, he'll only be coming off Kane when the game's already won. But Son, I'm expecting a fair few 70-minute performances. And Kulu at times will come off too.
Yeah, Richarlison suspended, by the way. Don't forget, everyone.
Yeah.
Vardy to Fulham. Take it. I would absolutely take it. Mitro needs someone to carry his bags and come on for the last 10, and Jamie Vardy seems to be that person. I'm into it.
Love that, Paul. Guys, it has been awesome having you in the chat. It's been a proper lively chat. Hopefully you've been talking amongst yourselves as well. This is what we want to build here on Chasing Green Arrows. And if you've liked what you've seen tonight, give us a thumbs up. Before we go, come on, let's see a couple of that. Let's see that number 80 increase a little bit.
Yeah, even I'm going to log on and give it a like. That's how desperate we are right now. I'm going to do it right now while we're talking.
And look, hit the subscribe button if you're new around here. We hit our 2,000 threshold, which we wanted to do before the start of the season. Buzzing about that. But guys, you can catch us every Monday and Friday at 7. So make sure through the season, come game week 1 to 2 to 3, you're sticking with us. Mondays, Friday, 7 p.m. This week's a little bit different. We've got a Friday deadline. I'm otherwise engaged on Friday night, so we're going to be doing an earlier stream than normal. We're probably going to have a bit of a 48-hour countdown to the deadline. So I think we're going to go Wednesday at 7 p.m., right? So stay tuned. In 48 hours' time, we'll be on again.
Okay,
Cheers
with our teams.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys. We're going to leave it there. Dean's, thanks for joining us. Dean, as always, we look forward to Wednesday where we'll be showing our teams, right?
Definitely. Can't wait. Hope to see you all here.
Yeah, good stuff. See you guys. Good night.